All right, welcome back. I know it's been a while, but let's start playing this new game. It's called The Big Hollow 1982. Let me see. I don't know if we need music volume. I don't want to get copyright. Full screen's fine. Sound, speech. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's start. Ma, you sleepy? Looks like I have to read this. Ma? Open door. I'm coming in, okay? Don't be mad. Got bed. Gosh. I don't reckon she left me no pie anyhow. Mirror? Ma? Ma? Hello? Ma? That's scary. I should have clicked on the bed. Shit. She dead? Jeez. Looks like I'm alone. I don't know how I should feel about this. Whenever I was with her, I was sure that she didn't even like me. I guess maybe this is a good thing. Oh, I like the graphic. It looks nice. Very detailed. No time to get out of your head. No, time to get out of your head, Desmond. She should be here any moment now. You'll find out what this is about soon enough. Desk. Special Agent Trainer. Lenore Davison. She ran behavioral science classes for us recruits here and there.
Why, though?
Oh, they got a voice? But why? Of all people has she called me here, and where is she? Speech volume? There's speech. Oh.
Why, though?
Okay. Frames. Looks like a photo of Lenore's inauguration into the FBI. Not sure about this other one though.
Huh.
Seems to be an FBI rejection letter from Hoover himself, no less. Wonder what the story is. Frames. Lions not bad. Keeping anything alive in the bowels of Quantico is no small feat. Files. Looks like she runs a tight ship, especially compared to the other SSA live reported to. Desk. Desk row. Police cap.
Really?
Lenore was a beat cop. Now this I'd like to have seen. Probably where she adopted that nonsense stare down technique of hers. Okay, files. Seal. The seal of the Federal Bureau. Is that Federal Bureau? I don't know how to spell that. Bureau of Investigation. The symbol of the FBI. Without much other decoration, this isn't really doing wonders. What for the Iron Lady moniker hanging over her? I don't think anything else. Just evidence. Oh, is that what I think it is? Are those crime scene photographs?
Interesting.
Interesting. Seems like it's two different homicide victims. Something Lenore's investigating. Hold on, with her BSU connections, could this be one of those investigation? I wonder if yellow means. I wonder if I can work anything out from these. Closer look. I mean, while I'm here waiting, might as well see what I can see. Yeah? She's dead. She's dead. Oh, that's me. Look, pretty different scenes, at least at first glance. But look kind of familiar. She has no, shoes out. They have shoes on. Okay.
It has to be.
So then, what is it that has Lenore looking over these two together? It must be. Feet. Only one shoes on. Could be that it fell off as she was dumped. You know, come to think of it, I do have my things with me here. I could just Jando
Well,
feet.
I've come this far.
Well, might as well do it like it was strange. So then, what else can I make out from this? Okay. Previous next. Okay. Handbag. Now that's interesting. A handbag means identification, something like the killer would normally like to delay. So then one has to wonder, what was the relationship between victim and the killer here? Handbag. Mouth. She was gagged and with underwear too, perhaps her own. Yike, maybe. This takes Sam and control very deliberate. Mouth. Okay. Body position. Her posture here is awkward. I'm not sure she simply fell this way. For her legs to be open towards the road like that seems like she's being humiliated to me. Wrist. Definitely some kind of abrasion here, I would assume. Sort of restraint used. Feet. Brownie mine. The way the mud builds on the side and the width too. Something big and heavy make these tracks a truck or trailer perhaps. Second shoe here is clearly hers. His secret but nearby too was Hercules bold enough to hang around and admire what he'd done. Is that everything? Missing one more. What is it? Wrist. Wrist. Feet. Neck. Clearly ligature mark. Strangulation is likely the cause of death.
That's that then.
I think that's the main points from this photo list. Right, feet. Odd thing, isn't it, to be driving without shoes? Similar to the other one. But this is interesting. Some kind of scratching on the soles. Okay. Clothes. I'm no expert, but this combination of clothes looks off. That's not to mention the undone button in the middle. Something's not right with this. And her wrist. Same thing. Looks to be abrasions matching both arms. She was restrained at some point then. And then her neck. It's a strange shape, but I'm fairly sure this mark is from a ligature. Thick, with a circular shape of some sort of thing. Despite the beating, I would think this was strangulation that killed her. Okay. 6, wrist. A face, swelling and bruising on her face is really quite severe, early onset too. So these occur close to the time of her death. It's not quite easy to make out, but there's some kind of abrasions to the sides of her mouth. The way the blood poured too makes me wonder, was something in place here earlier? Hard to tell from this, granted, but I'm fairly sure that's resting in neutral.
Okay.
Okay, seems like that's
Intriguing.
everything. In light of all their details, I do wonder. There certainly are similarities, but are there though? So then, care to tell me what you're thinking? Oh no.
Oh, well,
Hey, Len. Ma'am, I was just,
Really?
you're Ward, aren't you? Desmond Ward.
right.
Yes, that's me, ma'am.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
I don't get much for repeating myself. Oh no, of course not. Sorry, what was the question? The photographs, Desmond, what do you make of them? Is she mad at me for looking at them? I can't tell. Was it the same killer? I think you have to suggest there's a lead cause for connecting them, right? You don't sound so certain. Are you asking me or telling me? Well, the thing is, there are differences between them. It's certainly not clean cut.
Could it
But
be?
could it be? The similarities are there. It's hard to say, really. Hard to say if this is a serial murder. This is a BSU, Desmond. You can use the term as a safe space. These serial killer profilers have been all the talk of the hurrah last few years. I think I butchered that word. An exciting new analytical approach to solving repeat offender murders. It's exactly why I've been trying to get time with anyone from the behavioral science unit. Why I was, oh, that's what it's called, BSU. Why I was intrigued by this invitation only. I guess it's just that I'm not really trained on what this is about just yet. The programs here aren't big on profiling or serial homicide. Old dogs and new tricks, I'm afraid. I hear you major in sociology, which will have some, a minor in psych too, yes?
Oh, well.
Yes, ma'am. It was worthy. It was mostly introductory classes.
Really?
Introductory, really. And your instructors tell me it was my lectures that had you interested in the BSU? What you said about offender behaviors and how we interpret them to better understand crimes, I think this is the future of homicide investigation. To be able to find murderers just by thinking how they think, something like that is key to my work as a future agent, ma'am. Cool.
There is more to it, though.
It's a little more than that, but suppose as a concept, it's good as a starting point as any. Starting point? Just a little exercise of sorts. A case this unit just recently assisted on. If it's BSU experience you want, then come. Let's see what mind reading you're capable of. Cool. That's a lot of reading. A case they're already finished with. She wanted me to find the photographs. This is some sort of what? Evaluation? Alright, okay. Keep focus here. Okay, I think I make a typo. Focus here. Desmond, you've been waiting for a chance like that. Don't let yourself down now. So the first thing you should know is that you'll largely process this like any other case you've trained with.
It's there in the evidence.
Start from the beginning, follow the evidence, and work the angles. That's the only way to understand the behaviors. And since you're already familiar with the two victims, we can jump straight in.
Oh?
Oh well, I did have a little look. I think familiar might be...
Desmond.
Come on, come now. This is all just logic. Look, I won't start you off easy. Take the victim on the left. How would you have set about identifying her? I guess the neck.
Could it be?
Could it have been with this?
Not quite, Desmond.
I hope for your sake you're joking. If so, you very much needs work. At the handbag, where one usually keep identification on the person. This left here, she was easily identified as one Bonnie Hayes. Oh, okay. Miss Hayes' body was discovered not far from where she lived. A local found her on the shoulder of a back road. Our second victim on the right was found by deer hunters. The car she was in had been driven quite deep into a forest. It was identified through the car's registrations as one Ida Rotherman, and also found not far from where she lived. Ida Rotherman.
Interesting.
Very sure there's some typo in here. One on back road, the other inside a car in the forest, both close to their homes. Both late 20s, and importantly, no signs of a struggle around either body, which means these were likely not the primary crime scenes, the scenes of the murders, but rather the disposal site. That's an important part of linking serial murder cases, isn't it? The way each body has been left behind. Interesting. Perhaps if similar enough, since you have the urge to impress, then elaborate if you could.
Oh, well,
On linking offender behaviors. I'm paraphrasing here, but the way an offender acts during the crime will reveal aspects of them as a person. Evidence they leave behind reveals the choices they make, and those choices tell us a lot what they desire or fear or hated. So if crimes show repeated patterns of behavior, repeated signs of that same personality,
Not bad.
then it could be a repeated offender. Yes, well then. But we just here, could we claim these were similarities? There were similarities in how the offender disposed of each victim? Yes. I would say yes.
here's what I'm thinking.
On the surface, they might seem to have differences, but I'm not completely convinced. A back row, a forest, both are relatively secluded areas, both near the victim's home. Quite valid reasoning, I'll give you that, but tell me.
There is more to it, though.
Do you not agree that there is considerably more effort made here to hide one body over the other? That's true, so it's a
yeah,
start.
right.
But I guess we need more information, more context. Well, proximity must be a fairly large factor. How close are they to each other?
Now you're getting somewhere.
True. You're certainly asking the right questions. Miss Hayes was found close to Briar Hollow, an old and mostly defunct logging town on the northern outskirts of Cumberland. Miss Rotherman and her car was close to Hickory Ridge, North Trenton, a fuel junction with a few residents, not much else.
In fact,
Thing is, both were found off of the same back road, connecting the town to the fuel junction, barely 2 miles apart. Right? Typo.
Oh?
But then they must
Really?
be connected. A small back road, two small populaces. I'm not sure about this one.
Not quite, Desmond.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Desmond. This is about context, as you said, and we have good reason to believe the suspect pool could be significantly wider.
Let's see here.
Have a closer look at this and keep in mind, this is all about logical reasoning. What do you think is an indication of why this might not just be a local offender? Local offender. I mean, I was serious.
Could it be?
Really?
Pie track. Mr. Word, what do they look like to you? A deep and wide impression, that means a truck. And if we're starting to look into truck drivers, then
Oh,
we could be
but
looking anyone and
if
everyone who
that's
took
the
deliveries
case-
to the area. And when you consider the main highway passing through Hickory Ridge, that's not such a small pool of suspect after all. So then, where does that leave us? We discussed two offender behaviors, body disposal, and area of offenses, but that's simply not
The
enough.
evidence tells the story.
What we need to consider are all of the evident behaviors together before we can call this serious or not. So, I mean, come on, it looked like a serial killer to me. You need this notebook. Go ahead, take a look so we can get started. Jeez. I've taken the liberty of simplifying the remaining identifiable behaviors down to these 5s.
Let's see what
From
you
here,
make
I'd
of
like to see your
this.
ability to compare each on your own.
Oh,
But
well.
hold on, overkill? Staging or posing? I'm not sure how I know what you mean exactly.
Desmond.
Have a little courage, Desmond. If you want guidance on a term, let me know and I'll break it out for you.
It's there in the evidence.
Otherwise, review the evidence. Think about what makes the most sense for each, then make your decisions. Jeez. Calm down, miss. Reasonably decent, she says. How did I ever doubt myself? Lenore's a tough customer, but this is really it. A chance with the BSU.
Okay, Desmond, you can do this.
Take your time. You don't want to fall at the starting line. Subdeath. You don't have anything concrete on how either woman died, so use your best judgment here. Based on what can be seen, what would be the most likely reason each woman died? Okay, I would say yes, similar. Restraint utilized, probably meaning what kind of restraints was being used on them. See that. Restraints refers to basically anything used by the offender to limit the victim's physical abilities. Usually they restrict movements, but it can also be about minimizing the victim's ability to make noise. Same thing. Weapon utilized, probably same. Signs of overkill? Generally speaking, force against the victim which wasn't necessary in actually causing the victim's death is known as overkill. Here, I'm particularly interested in indications of emotion from the offender rather than a control attack. I'm not sure about that. Staging, opposing. Moving the body in some way after the murder, generally to Mr. X, investigator is considering staging. If it's for some other personal reason of the offenders though, perhaps as a symbol of ritual, then this is known as posing. But careful not to confuse the two, Desmond. I'm not sure about that one. I think it's yes. Oh, yes. Let's see here.
You can do better than that.
What? If there was just one wrong, maybe two when it's more than that though. What? You mean more than half are wrong?
Well,
If it's all the
come
same,
this
I'd
far.
like to look over these again then. Go ahead, this is a learning process. What is going on? Hmm. No. Yes. And no.
Not quite, Desmond.
More than half are right by my counts.
Well, I've come this far.
Weapon use lies. Hmm. I don't think it's the same weapon, maybe. Okay, you got them all correct in the end. I'm kind of find it weird staging. It does look like staging, right? I don't know why it's just no. Please explain. Good, let's break this down then. First, cause of death. This is reasonably clear. Both victims have ligature marks along their necks.
In fact,
Strangulation is the most likely cause of death for both women, which in fact turned out to be the case. Cool. Now the restraints. Same kind of restraint. Both women have clearly matching marks on the wrist from the restraints, but not only that.
there is more to it,
The
though.
bruising around Ida's mouth, the way the blood has pooled on her face is subtle but it's there. Both women was also gagged during the attacks. Oh? Nothing gets a little more interesting here. We know both were strangled, however, the impressions on each victim's neck, the ligature marks, differ and strangulations, that is the weapon we are considering.
If that's the case,
Does this mean it was a different offender? Not necessarily, but even so, the change in the exact ligature is significant. This can be a difficult one to an untrained eye, but you've done well.
in fact,
With Ida's bruising not having time to fully form, it must have occurred during the time of her death or just before. Was violence used to control her? She was already restrained, so no, that's not likely. And since Bonnie had no such injuries, we simply can't discount this important difference. And lastly, staging and posing, another tricky one. Both bodies have in fact been repositioned. Bonnie was posed. True. Positioned in a way to degrade and humiliate her. And on the other hand, was not positioned in a way to present that the offender had done. Far from it, actually. Ida was in fact staged. Oh. Repositioned in an attempt to deceive the investigators. What?
the evidence tells the story.
Remember, staging to deceive, posing for ritual are simple. Okay, true, that's posing, staging. Similar, but in actuality, quite different. So there we have it for your first foray into linkages.
Nicely deduced.
It was good work, Desmond. I'm impressed. So the victims are restrained in similar ways, but we don't know if it was the same unique gag. Both are strangled, but with different ligature, plus the difference in posing and
I
staging.
wonder,
They're on the same row, but
could
with
it
all
be?
of this said, is that enough? A little more critical in your suspicions now? That's good, I like to see it. What we need is an aspect of the offender's behavior that is significant, something undeniably from the same person.
Let's see here.
The gag utilized against Bonnie. You described it as unique. Well, it's so deliberate. There are much easier ways to gag someone. He needs to go out of his way to do it.
Exactly.
Which means it likely feels an important need for the offender. He's driven to do it. So then, what if we can prove that this unique behavior, the same type of gag, was utilized during Ida's homicide?
Oh?
Did I
Really?
miss something? I didn't think I saw anything related to a gag. It's not always about what is seen, Desmond, but what can be deduced.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
Think carefully. What would we need to examine here in order to know if Ida had the same gag as Bonnie? Face?
Could it be?
There's traces of underwear from where it was on her face, impressions, threads.
Not bad.
It's not too bad. There were some traces, yes, but there was also evidence of it that was much similar to fine. For Ida's underwear to have been used as gags, she wouldn't have been wearing them anymore. Either that or they'd be back on her, which as it turns out was the case. The presence of blood and saliva on the underwear gave it away. It matched perfectly to positioning as a gag.
Okay.
I see. So he redressed her. I did think something was odd about her clothing. Presumably part of his staging process.
Huh.
Right. Redress her for the staging. Same back row, restrain, strangle, same unique gag.
If that's the
This
case.
point is quite compelling. The behavioral links are difficult to deny. This is likely a repeat offender, and these two cases should be investigated with that close in mind. But then, despite the similarities, the victims are still so different. You know, all this time, it seemed like it was the differences that make this harder to investigate. But now, I think it's exactly those differences that will help find the man who did it. Okay, how is that then?
It has to be.
It's like you say. If you follow the logic of why he did what he did, it can only mean one thing. That he was known to one victim much more than the other. Ooh.
Perhaps.
Interesting. You have my undivided attention, Desmond.
Well, I've come this far.
Well, you're in it now. I hope I'm right about this. Visit in crime scene suggests the killer was known to, I would say, Bonnie? Because he
Here's what I'm
humiliated her? Maybe he knew Bonnie. This was revenge of some sort.
Are you sure about that?
But I do believe you're overlooking details here. Did you forget the fact that there was no effort made to hide? Oh, true. That's true. Not particularly helpful for him.
Right.
The central need for a murderer connected to a victim is to obfuscate that connection. Bonnie was presented by him like he wanted to show what he'd done.
In fact.
He even left evidence of himself there. 2 Windsor bows he smoked sending over.
Yeah.
Right, he
That
didn't
makes
care
sense.
if she was found, even identified, because he knew he couldn't be chased from her. For Ida, though, everything we discussed was about him distancing the chance of being found out.
There is more to
Yes,
it,
and there's
though.
more. The staging that we touch on here. Let me see those notes of yours, Desmond. Perhaps you already noticed that what I'm referring to.
Oh, well.
Notes? I mean, I jotted a few things down, but I don't know if they're,
Desmond.
displaying Koei is growing tiresome.
Right.
Yes, right. I mean, it was rough practice more than anything else. It's not bad. You did at least pick up on 2 crucial details, so let's start with those. Don't be coy, she says. Here, hand me that notebook again. questions answered with facts from the crime scene. This is the foundation of any investigation.
Let's see what you make of this.
Leon, I'd like to see you apply your own observations, your evidence to solve the questions we find. What?
It's there in the evidence.
Think on it. What are the two details you noticed that could infer she wasn't actually the one driving? I expect with more thorough thinking here, no more pot shots. Dude. Shift lever. Okay. She's not driving. E, maybe. Well spotted. To stage Ada in the driver's seat, we're clearly being led to believe she somehow drove herself here. If this was some sort of self-induced accident though, then how did the ship become to be a neutral? While certainly not definitive, the lack of shoes at the very least should be raising question for investigators. Perhaps she prefers driving barefoot, or perhaps she wasn't actually the one driving. Ooh, here we go.
If that's the case.
So, despite the fact that both of these aspects could potentially be explained together, they form one key suspicion. Did Ada really drive this car into the woods, barefoot, and have the capacity to put the car back into neutral afterwards? Right, but you seem to suggest there was something that I missed in my notes too. Yes, well, take a look at how Ada is positioned here physically.
What do you think?
Something seems off. Make it highly unlikely that she was driving. Position of seat is far.
Ah, okay. I see.
It's so far back.
Not bad.
Once you notice how far back the seat is set, it's clear that Ada could not have comfortably driven the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Whoever was driving was tall, then taller than Ada at least. So the seat, the missing shoes, the car in neutral, the fender at least attempted to stage this as what, a car crash? But the proof that this was about him distancing himself, about him knowing more, one victim more than the other. This makes two established ideas. We have a repeated offender and one that was known to Ada.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
Where are you going to start this investigation? Oh, me?
Desmond.
Right.
Okay. The bottom line here is learning more about Ada, I would think. We'll start by going back to her home, see what can be gathered from there.
Why is that?
Why do you think it is that you do that? What? Wait, this line is a little weird. Well, it was nearby. Could be something happened there, or at least it's a starting point to learn about Ada. I'm not talking about the case, Desmond. I'm talking about you. This is defensiveness. I'm sorry? I'm not sure I follow, ma'am. You're shying away from taking the initiative, but not always. But do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Does something in particular intimidate you, Mr. Ward? What is she? Am I intimidated? Is that part of our test? Yes, by you. If I'm honest, ma'am, I probably am intimidated at least a little. Is at times hard to tell if you're, well, if I'm impressed, if you're disappointed. But believe me, I appreciate the opportunity and the challenge. I'm ready to step up into it, ma'am. Right, I see. Step up, you say?
Back to it, Desmond.
Now, let's try with a little more independency. You said you wanted to visit her home, so let's start with that. This is Ida's home. At least the back half of that makes up her bedroom.
Let's see what you make of this.
Let's see what you can find without the hand holding. This is your scene now. Jeez. Oh, this is the same place that we saw earlier. Oh man. Looks to be fairly standard trash, tissue, food waste, bottles. I'm not sure if there's anything suspicious. Says more about how Ida leave, I suppose. Irma, Lucky's Pies, Johnny's Pizza. A soda bottle. It seemed cheap and easy. Trump's nutrition. Drawers. The way some of these drawers have been pulled out seems like someone was going through them in a hurry. Is someone looking for something? Could this have been a robbery? Maybe he's finding underwear. Items on the counter seems to be mostly cosmetics items. Quite a standard array. Humble even. But what is that? A radio? Seems like something scratched on the side. I think I can just make that out. Fields. What does that mean? Well, I'm quite sure it's a handheld citizen band transceiver. That much I can tell. So what would Ida need a CB radio for? That's usually something more for truckers, huh? Sink. At first I wonder if there might be evidence of blood or cleaning up here, but no. Just a filter brush, nothing else really. Carpet. Those scratches in the carpet, those are really deep. They seem to radiate from the same spot too. From exactly the same point where the standing is actually what is that? Then how to make out if there's anything useful there or not, but hold on, is that cigarette butt? Oh, newspaper? Did it have a date?
Not bad.
Good eye, it is. And that was a particularly important item. The last reported sighting of Ada was the same as this date on the paper. It was in the early hours of the very next morning that her body was then found in her car.
Okay.
Right.
Good to know.
So not a big window of time there. Ada was at home then, at least some point during the day it was murdered.
Exactly.
It would seem so, particularly when you take into account what else was left behind. On top of the paper were 2 used condoms and a few tissues to go with them.
Oh?
And that could even
Really?
be the offender's blood type on record. More if you to count the other condoms of a different blood type underneath the newspaper. Okay, good to know. That's multiple partners then. At least one had to have been there on the day she went missing though, but who? Photo frames looks like someone took out the pictures inside. Frames been dumped unceremoniously. The bed, bit of an odd setup, bare mattress, mismatching pillow and blanket, a lack of upkeep. Blank notepad, an empty jar, an ashtray. I'm pretty sure that logo on the lighter is a car rental brand actually. I'm just wondering, with these secrets, do we know if they were all Ida's? Anything at all? These buds rarely retain any prints or even traceable blood types, which was the case here too. What I can tell you for what it's worth is that they were all Red Valley cigarettes.
Huh.
Good to know. Only
Good
the
to
one
know.
brand. Actually, that seems to be everything here, at least from what I can make out. But Lenore's wants to see initiative, well, I suppose if nothing else, this does leave me wondering. Is the stain related to Ada's mother? If Ada was attacked in her
Not
home?
bad.
Was Ada robbed? Not bad. A few different angles there and quite a story between them. I imagine you'll be needing these then.
Oh?
Hold on, this third photograph here? Yes, well, I held back on this earlier to focus on linkages far from the last of evidence to be introduced though, too. From here on, I'll review the rest as you would have normally found them working the case, just so you know. Sure, lady. What you see here is the backseat of Ida's car. She said it was found along with her body. Remember, Desmond, the devil is in the detail. Keep up this momentum now. Yeah? An opaque container of some sort, toxic, going by what I can see on the label. It seems to have a white color residue around the lid. Some kind of detergent. Sheet. Seems like an old sheet of some kind. There's a lot of it bundled up down there. Loose clothes, jeans, and a mix of shirts, mostly. One seemed to be labeled with a faded company logo. Wilbur is all I can make out though. There's quite a lot though. Would I have worn this? Carried them around her car like that? This. The book. What is this? There, a notebook. Do we know what was written inside?
In fact,
Well, at the time of finding it, what it was used for was unclear. The book was quite new and entirely blank. That is, at least for the pages that weren't torn out. There was one missing.
Oh, I see.
I see. Was it recovered then? The missing page? Not exactly, no. What does that mean? Jeans and okay, oh, okay, cool. I would say the jug. Nicely done, Desmond. The presence of the stain at home and the bottle here should certainly be raising flags. Stain was indeed caused by bleach, which were exactly what this bottle contained. Oh. I saw that though. Hold that thought. Look into your other questions first. The implications of all three together should be interesting.
back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that?
It did make me consider robbery, particularly with the way the drawers on the right are well like that. Interesting too that it was only one end of the drawers, like they knew what they were after. Yes.
Back to it, Desmond.
If you can spot what you missed here. Hmm. A bit. Probably interest. These deep scratches are perhaps the clearest indicator of a struggle at either homes. Yes. Now, whether scratches happen as a result of this attack, we can't say now with this evidence alone. I do believe I see where you're going with this, but you're getting ahead of yourself. It would be better to establish evidence that the attack itself, the murder, occurred in Ada's home. What happened after that can't wait. No!
Back to it, Desmond.
Who's close? Okay, is it like a bug? I can't. Oh. Oh. Look close.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, she doesn't like
Back
that.
to it, Desmond.
It was Ida Rock. Ah. Check.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay, I'm wrong. Not photo frame. Dude. Items on the counter, maybe?
Are you sure about that? Back
Okay,
to
hold
it,
on, hold
Desmond.
on. She's was not Rob.
Are you sure
What
about that?
the heck? Oh man, it sucks.
Back
Okay.
to it, Desmond.
Oh, slightly taken. Ben?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
I tried notepad. Be that.
Not bad.
Oh, empty jar. Without more context, though, I think we should revisit with this another time. See what else you can focus for now. What?
Back to it, Desmond.
That's crazy.
Not bad.
What? No way, guys. What the heck is going on?
Back to it, Desmond.
No, it's a carpet. Can I get some help? Oh man. Shift lever. Eat. Photo frame. Check.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that?
Oh, what the heck?
Back to it, Desmond.
I was thinking I knew evidence should be. Uh. Close?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Wait, that's weird.
Back to it, Desmond.
Oh, okay. Home? I mean, I think I try every possible evidence, right?
Are you sure about that?
Let's-
Back to it, Desmond.
Dude, let's go brute force. Or think.
Are you sure about that?
Dude,
Back to it, Desmond.
come on, lady. Think. Hmm.
Are you sure about that?
Sink is not even there.
Back to it, Desmond.
Carpet. And
Are you sure about that?
Okay,
Back
I'm
to it,
silly.
Desmond.
Bin doesn't work. Photo frame.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Of everything happened to Anna, this is indeed the injury that can be linked to her trailer. Compelling, isn't it? We both know what this evidence is pointing to, but I wonder, is it enough? Again, let's hold one more question now. Was Ida robbed? Oh, okay, I see now. The joke, right?
Are you sure about that?
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Was suddenly taken from her home. A close.
Are you sure about that?
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Sheet? Oh yeah, the sheet. Doesn't have sheet. Actually, yes. But the context of how it was moved was more complex. It wasn't dropped from Ida as the question aims to answer. What?
Back to it, Desmond.
A book?
Not bad.
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Sure. Yes, loose clothes. It did make me consider robbery, particularly with the way that drawers on the right are pulled out like that. Okay. Cool. Men's clothes in the car, empty drawers in the home. Curious, isn't it? I'd say it's reasonable to suggest they were taken, but of all the things to take... Well, let me put it this way. How does it fit with what we already know, particularly when you consider this? What if I were to say there was no signs of forced entry at Ida's home?
If that's the case,
How does that add up with a robbery? Doesn't that complicate things? No, it still fit, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
makes
Actually,
sense.
if you look at what we already established, we've deduced the murderer was known to Ida, so really he wouldn't have needed to break in
exactly.
because she would have likely invited him in. Good. Then at least you're staying on top of your own story. With that said, why would this robbery have even happened? I would suppose he just didn't want them found, at least not in Ida's home.
Could it be?
This is the murderer continuing to hide his connection to her, isn't it? These clothes belong to him. Perhaps Ida was at least close enough to someone that they had space for their own clothes. Right, exactly. Only something isn't adding up here. If he wanted to hide this from being seen, this doesn't really make sense.
Why, though?
Why leave the clothes in the car to be found with the body and help point investigators right to him?
There is more to
That would be
though.
bring us back to the deer hunter who's found the car. You see, it was the sound of a car being driven into the woods that drew their attention in the first place. Oh, hold on. If they were that quick to the car, they didn't just find Ida, they interrupted her murderer. Precisely. The car was stuck in underbrush only a dozen feet or so from the drop into a river below.
Of
Of course, Ada's in the driver's seat. The
Had
ship's
to have
level and neutral. He meant to run the car into the river along with the evidence inside. Perhaps in the hopes they would be washed away, or perhaps they intended to take them with them. Whatever the intention might have been, things didn't quite go to plan. That much seems clear.
Now you're getting somewhere.
We have three fairly critical points about the relevance of Ada's home in this, so now seems a good time to take stock. Torn carpet, torn feet, bleach stain by the tears, and the bleach in her car with her body along with clothes stolen from her home.
If that's the case,
What exactly happened here? Care to explain what you think the narrative is? Well, at the very least, Ida had a violent struggle next to her bed as something was cleaned up from the carpet. What exactly was clean, we can't say, not yet. But together with the scratches, the way Ida was murdered, this is it, isn't it? The primary crime scene, this is where Ida was strangled.
perhaps.
It is a convincing story, but alone, it could be also argued as a circumstantial. Remember, Desmond, this needs to hold up in court. Who's to say when the scratches or stain occurs? So, are you sure you are missing anything? That what else could support this as the primary crime scene?
Right.
Missing? Right. Okay. Well, we know the offender drove Ida's car since he already dead. He wouldn't risk driving too far. Sure enough, the car is found close to her home, the bleach, the stolen clothes, and attempt to drive it all into the river.
You can do better
Sure,
than that.
all valid points, but still circumstantial. Stolen clothes, the carpet. All of it can be debated. it lacks something definitive. What about what's right in front of you? Proof from the victim herself. You were very close to noticing already. Very close. In fact, you took notes on the very detail I have in mind when you observe Ada, so think carefully. The wrist. What observation did you make? Which detail could have deduced that she was previously at her home? Her clothes. Oh wait, is that what she's wearing? I didn't know that's the combination of clothing was a little awkward, didn't I?
I wonder.
Could
it be?
Could the defender have added layers or chosen them himself? We know he dressed her.
Nicely deduced.
That was a reasonably subtle detail, but you happen to be exactly right.
In fact,
our mother stated that these were clothes for a church that she gifted her, and Ada swore she never wear them. So Ada's murderer chose these for her. He wanted her to what? Look more formal? Respectable?
Intriguing.
And where else would she keep clothes she owned but didn't normally wear her home? It's at least a start to tying this narrative together more convincingly. But there's one last piece to this puzzle. The sheet here in the footwell of the back seat. Not much to make of it, right? Only thing is that's far from the truth, and it's got everything to do with a small trace of Ada's blood found on it.
Oh?
Oh really? Ada's blood from the murder? Well, if it was only a small amount, keep that in mind, but with supporting evidence, yes, it can be linked to her murder. Okay? Significance? Proving a struggle in the home is one thing, proving her disposal, another is the between that will make the story whole. You've done fairly well. This has certainly been an improvement. Desmond, let's see if you can keep it up. Try that. But this came from Ada's bed. Some digging revealed the pillowcases on Ada's bed was so exclusively as a combined set with a specific sheet. Further, blanket fibers on the sheet forensically sealed it. There's no doubt that this did, in fact, come in from Ada's bed.
Are you sure about that?
Okay.
Back to it, Desmond.
Feet, clothes, wrist, neck, face, strip lever, jug, sheet.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What evidence can be tied to the sheet inside that? The jug.
Are you sure about that?
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
I think her face, right? Because the blood got smeared off. The only injury I can make out from the scene that could cause this is Ida's face. Makes you wonder if this was a match to Ida. What does that mean for the stain? How might that relate to all of this?
Nicely deduced.
Based on blood type and the pattern and position of the stain, forensics make the same assessment. Ada had most certainly been covered by this sheet, and considering where it came from...
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense.
I see what you mean now. It all makes sense. The bleeding on the sheet means Ida sustained those injuries near the time it was wrapped around her before the blood dried. Since we know these injuries also happened at the time of her strangulation with the bruises still forming, it all comes together. This was about moving Ida's body from her home to her car. In the primary crime scene, the scene of Ida's murder's has to have been the bedroom. There's no doubting about it now. Well, I have to say, if I'm making calls on where to go with this, I think the focus seems relatively simple. Simple, you say?
It
has to be the truth, the trust from Ida, the redressing, the stolen clothes, the secretive nature of it all. It's all pointing in one direction. The offender must have been a live-in partner of Ida's. It is a compelling angle. A romantic partner is by far the most likely to commit a murder with a personal angle such as this.
Are you sure
but
about
Desmond,
that?
Are you sure about that? The clothes on their own aren't that convincing, really. And you've seen how quickly things can change already. Take these drawers, for example, the closed drawers and the implications of what's inside them. They were clothes for an adult female, unsurprisingly, but they were also clothes for a young juvenile. Oh, Ida was a mother? But then, where was the child in all of this? Did they weren't also? Well, Ida's home was found empty at this point. The boy's welfare was a complete unknown. Further investigation confirmed that Ida had a son of 8, James. His records were sparse though, with neither father was nor family listed. Right, this wasn't just a homicide then, a missing child that changes things. It does, yes. It's got to do with why the FBI became involved for one before the linkages to serial murder even came to light. My point is, there's a lot still to wrap our heads around here, so think carefully about this, about the case priorities. What's next, Desmond? With everything you've learned, where do you allocate your limited resources as an investigator? Okay, I'm not going to jump the gun here, but as far as I can tell, there's only 3 main directions. Look into this boyfriend, look more into Ida, or see where you can find the boy James. So which is it? Boyfriend.
Here's what I'm thinking.
I want to know more about the person Ida was living with. Alternative angles aside, as you said, the stats of these crimes speak for themselves, right? The most likely offender has to be the intimate partner. Be that as it may, what exactly are you looking into? There are some fragments of information, but not nearly enough. And even if you did have more to go off, frankly, I find this focus rather tunnel vision. There's much more to this case. From here is the victim we look into. Her daily life routines. Oh, okay. That's where we learn which people had the opportunity to do this. Okay.
Right.
So, who does she typically interact with? Who had the opportunity to be invited in like that? And where might James be? In other words, victimology, your notebook, if you would. Relationship, type of households, neighborhood dynamics. As before, I've narrowed this list of categories down to what's relevant to the information you'll be able to find.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
Where do you find this? Her occupation, relationships. I want to talk to friends, family, check her records for next kin, perhaps. And there's neighbors, what they know about her, what they might have seen.
Not bad.
Good, then let's do just that. Here we have the statements from the investigation. We focus for now on 2 key interviews taken in the initial canvassing. The next of kin was Lillian Rotherman, Ida's mother, living in a small town just a few miles out. As it turned out, she was the only family Ida was in contact with. It seemed our victim was rather insular, actually. The second was indeed a neighbor. You might recall Ida Lee by a fewer junction, so it was just the one Dellsfields. Retire, mid-60, live in a trailer barely 100 feet from Ida's. Some of this reading between the lines. Some, like you said, is from other evidence. I'm sure you can work it out. What? Statement? Wait, what? Take photos, here statements. Let's side. To come around that morning, so I mind the boy. We ain't seen one another in a while, but we're making amends or trying to. I asked her if it's for her. Blasphemous work. You see that she come by and she knows it. I ain't supporting it. She don't say nothing. So I said so. I ain't participating in it no more than that. And I ain't never seen her again. Lord forgive me. There's always someone cut from the same story clothes. She ain't ever told me nothing, but I seen him around. I know that's boy's daddy. Got run from the mines for being a good for nothing. That's about all I know. About all I need to know. Okay. I seen a black car that day in front of her place. Boxy Ford type, bit unusual. Mostly they just walk over from the gas and go, then trucking man. String plates too, like a company car maybe. And but seen that then gone about my day. I didn't think to look again after. Well, it started out hauling timber. I started out in hauling timber from Paraguay, which is easier been here. Then I hung that up and then at us come, which is us. So we landing stuff, you know, our jobs, looking out for one another like that. All right, occupation. One. The radio. Check.
Are you sure about that? You can do better than that.
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Hold on. Okay. I got it wrong. This, that. Guess a trucker. And stuff on this. The mention of a rental car is certainly interesting. Who that might be is something we want to dig into, but it's what he's insinuating here. Truckers coming in from the gas and go, if that's a regular occurrence.
You can do better than that.
It's not a typical day. Ooh.
Back to it, Desmond.
Okay. Yes. Ada's mother seemed to be particularly upset when speaking about Ada's work. Better to offend someone who is religiously like Lillian, well, it does help give a little more context as to what work could be. A disapproving religious mother, truckers visiting her home from the nearby truck stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to me it's most likely one of the two occupations, drug dealing or sex work.
If that's the case,
Oh. Pool of potential suspect just got much wider. Almost everything, in fact, may need re-evaluating. Right, the offender might not have forced his way inside, but he might not have been that well known to her either. Whichever line of work it is, there's no denying that they both mean what they both mean. These are occupations exposed to danger. Well, allusion to Ada's work is there in the evidence. You just needed these statements for context here. A bit far from definitive, we do have indications right here of what Ada's work at least likely was. Consider what you've learned, add everything up, what makes logical sense. To sex worker. Condoms. I guess if I had to, I lean to Ada as being a sex worker. As you said, not exactly definitive proof, but the bin with the used condoms come to mind. Then the numerous tissues, numerous cigarette jar for payment. They do speak to a commonality, I suppose.
not bad.
Not bad. Most of the commonalities do still function with dealing, but not all. Educated guesswork, but even so, at times you need that to get your nose on the right trail, so to speak, and onto better evidence. Work on finishing the rest of the victimology, and we'll circle back to see just where it did lead. What? Evidence of a relationship between Ada and anyone outside of her immediate family. And then check.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What? What's this? Check. The garbage didn't seem connected with her mother. I would think it was normal for her to let it pile up on the floor like this. So if this is typical how she lived, it at least suggests a daily struggle, perhaps with poverty or mental health, which may not appear directly relevant to a murder investigation, but you'd be surprised. Oh. Context can be everything to solving an investigation. By the end of this, the relevance will be more apparent. What do we know about the people or activities in Ida's neighborhood? Check. With no one else living in the area, we really just have to take Dales as his word here, aren't we? So the relationship's gonna be tricky, huh? He certainly paints a picture of an amicable friendship. Problem is, there's no one to dispute it. That might not be exactly true. There's still one person who could certainly speak of that, assuming they're still alive, that is. Yeah, the kid. Evidence of relationship between Ada and anyone else outside her own immediate family. What? This class? We've spoken, Sir Desmond. More can be done to suggest resolving someone other than her son. Huh?
Back to it, Desmond.
What do you exactly mean by that? Homicides are often solved simply by exploring the victim's relationship, particularly in learning who would have had motive to do this. These clues in the car already indicate the offender might have been a live-in partner, but alone is not enough. Are there any other indicators that Ada was having a romantic relationship? Is anything else tampered with to hide it? Ooh, I mean, photo frame. And yes. So far, we've seen an offender who's been cautious and careful. A photo frame left open and empty like that, to me that suggests more covering up. Why take a photo other than to hide a relationship? Not the drawing?
Back to it, Desmond.
Yeah.
You can do better than that. Back to it, Desmond.
Just the one?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Relationship. Photo frame for sure. I don't know what else, really. Feet, clothes, neck, face, shift lever, drag, cheat. Those clothes, didn't like that. A book.
Are you sure about that?
I'm
Back
not
to
sure.
it, Desmond.
I'm not sure. Okay.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
In try that, right? It didn't work. Okay.
Back to it, Desmond.
Bad.
Back to it, Desmond.
Evidence of a relationship between Ida and anyone outside of her immediate family. Tamper with. Bed?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
The drawer, right?
Back to it, Desmond.
What could make this? The visitor in the black car, a very interesting lead, but an indication of relationship, that's a bit of stretch. What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Ah, man. Well, I want to try this one more time.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Oh man, I have no clue. In photo frames, maybe the brush. Sink. I saw the detail, but the toothbrush is here. There's Ada, her son, that's true. So then, what a third? Someone was there overnight often enough to have their own? Ooh. Here we go. These were particularly subtle in details. I'm impressed. So, to add to the stolen clothes, we now have a missing frame photo and an extra toothbrush. Surely it has to be. It is compelling, I agree. It was highly likely Ada had a live-in partner. All we have to do now is to find out who. Okay, well, since that rounds out the last of victimology questions, where does that leave us? Ada's line of work is certainly intriguing. Finding about who might have visited her seemed a high priority. Plus, the fact that Ada was rather isolated with the neighbor, Dell, he has to at least be a person of interest in this. But the thing is, none of that might even matter. Indications of a live-in partner, the tampering of the evidence related to that.
Desmond.
As long as you have unanswered questions about the case, all of your leads and angle most certainly matter. And it sounds to me like you have quite a number of questions to start working, don't you?
Right.
Right, of course. Let's see here then. Two out of three on Dell.
Why is that?
You seem to be concentrating quite a bit on the neighbor here. Well, first of all, I'm sure I spotted indication from him in Ida home. Innocent, perhaps, but when you consider Dell's account on the rental car, if it checks out, that's a good lead. If it doesn't, Dell is misdirecting. Yeah, true. But if we are wanting more on the man Ada was seeing, then there's something you're overseeing.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
What else are we likely to learn more about Ada's work and her clients? Nearby truck stop. I start at the gas and go regardless of what the work is exactly. That's where the clients are coming from.
Not bad.
Intimate knowledge of the work, insider knowledge, exactly what we need more of, and we have the source of it. Ooh. By canvassing the gas and go fuel station near Ida, investigators managed to find Cheryl, a work acquaintance of Ida's. She said Ada did in fact engage in sex work out of the gas and go, only recently changing to meeting clients at home instead. For one, she lacked help with her son, but according to Cheryl, Ada had also been scared off by the murder of a colleague. Oh, funny. Two victims working out of the same highway station then, yet another linkage.
If
that's the case, this says a lot about his victim selection. This is specificity, familiarity with the station even. Perhaps Cheryl couldn't even name anyone suspect herself and was only relatively friendly with Ida, but her insights were still invaluable. Details more personal to Ida, they came with some luck from another source altogether. A notepad.
Oh?
A notepad, hold on. You must mean this, right? The blank notepad from Ada's bedroom? Blank to the naked eye, perhaps, however. Once FBI were involved, we were able to get an impression of what was last written, the indentations made into the paper.
Okay. Intriguing.
A list? A schedule?
What do you think?
What do you think? It's about time to get you to figure out that what I say. Dude. Between this and the statements from Cheryl, you have a lot to think about. Enough, in fact. To start pulling in potential suspects. Some critical steps here, so don't lose focus now. What? Having this lifted by FBI from Ada's blank notepad is pretty big, particularly when you consider these were like some of her final notation. Let's see here. James to Ma. That's a less cryptid of the three. The other two, GC 11 and DF 15. What could that mean? The latter being circle 2. Oh man.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What? Dale? Dale? Oh. Dale. Guy. Hold on. Yeah, well, she still come by, picking up whatever from the gas and go, saying hi, you know, small talk really. But even when she gone done, it from her home was like, she's always working, always getting out of here. Jesus. Kept it all in this little jar under the bed, along with her drugs, for no safe place for neither, not with these types. Okay, that's the proof of Dell. Partners like boyfriend? I don't know nothing about that. I think she kept company. I don't know really. What I can tell y'all is she's had her regulars. Them was still come by hers when she stopped coming here. But yeah, we still talk tricks. Handles that what them chocolate used. Oko like sort of thing. Oh, share them around. What they like, so they pay more. Tying or being tied. Ooh. Who's the good one, you know, who's the bad? Jeez. There's a lot of stuff. Unpack.
Are you sure about that?
What?
Back to it,
I thought it
Desmond.
was it. That's what he said.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Regulars.
Are you sure about that? You can do better than that.
Ooh,
Back to it, Desmond.
these two are wrong. Oh man, jeez. Evidence of Dell's. Okay. Well, that and the first one probably.
Are you sure about that?
What?
You can do better than that.
Okay,
Back
okay,
to
hold
it,
on,
Desmond.
hold on. Hold on, I'll be right back. Alright, what do we have here? Proof of Dale really saw someone visiting Ida. What did Dale say? Black girl with a strange blood. Proof. I would clearly think some things with the... Yes. I did wonder about this. The ladder on Ida's bed table. Ada had her own car, so why would she even have this in the first place? Could be nothing, of course, but in light of what Dale has seen, could it be it was a person with a rental visiting Ida? Sometimes it's the little things, sometimes it's luck. In this case, it was a bit of both. Whoa. Okay. The rental company turned out to be a fairly small chain with only one store operating anywhere near Ida.
In fact,
The description of the car Dale saw was indeed a match, just one car they had out on loan that day. Oh. New guy. Dennis Clay. A long-haul trucker out of a small town known as Wilson Bend, just a few miles north of Ida's Hickory Ridge. During the time of Ida's mother, Clay had finished a run and was heading home, a route running directly through where Ida lived.
Okay.
That is rather unusual though, isn't it? If he's almost home, only a few miles out, as you say, then why the rental car?
exactly.
Suspicious, isn't it? You have your opportunity to challenge his alibi. You can be sure of that. In the meantime, though, there's still information here on two potential suspects. It's a good lead you have, but now's not the time to put blinders on. This is wrong. Evidence of Dale's involvement with the... Oh, dude. Let's start out hauling timber from Briar Way. Yeah, hung that up, then Ida's come, which is us, and stuff, you know, odd job looking out when I like that. What? You see. What's his name? Delphil, DF. What about GC? DF15, that's him. I can deduce that, right? But GF is... F is what? Cheryl? Oh, GC. Cheryl, maybe? But it says Dell. I'm pretty sure it's an indentation. I'm not sure about the second one, but the first one's true for sure. Whether there was a schedule or a list, the point is these represent something immediately relevant to Ida on that day. Even without knowing what it means, it's hard to ignore the fact that DF matches with the initial of her one and only neighbor. I'm still not quite sure why Ida had this radio, but more to the point is the engraving on the side. Fields. Ooh. Zindale Fields, surely? Which granted might not mean much more than lending something to a neighbor. If it were the only thing implicating Dale in all of this, yes. Oh yes, yeah. Okay, there you go. It has the engraving Fields on it, right? I do agree, Dale needs to look into this, begin to paint a picture of a relationship that may be beyond what he's suggesting, except there is still one problem with this. A lot of Dale's perceived guilt hinges on not just your interpretation for the notepad indentation, but relevance also.
Oh?
Relevance? I mean, when you made a point of it, I just guess I assume...
Desmond.
I only offer you evidence. It's on you to prove how it fits into this case specifically here. Jeez. Are the notepads indentation relevant? You still have groundwork to do. What do you have that corroborates Willis as that day's schedule? Dale might be suspicious, but what you have currently is arbitrary. Lock this in though, and things will change quite quickly. Oh man, this is tough. Hold on. What else? Did I miss anything? Something new come up? What information we have find out who Ida's sleeping partner was? This Bornlinen brings up about Jim's father being fired from his work in the mines. It's not great, but as far as ways to identify anyone Ida may have dated, this might be the best lead we have. It doesn't seem like much to go by. No, considering how it relates to evidence more directly involved with the crime, though.
Are you sure about that?
Okay.
Back to it, Desmond.
Sounds like that.
Are you sure about that?
Sure about that.
Back to it, Desmond.
Find whose other living partner was. Loose clothes? Alright. If we're to assume these clothes were those of Ida's partner, then this could be helpful. One of the shirts bears the partial logo for Weber. If it's where he works or once worked, it would at least help narrow things down. Damn. I don't know.
Nicely deduced.
I don't know if we are getting better at this, but we see. It was a long shot, but it worked. In Cottage Creek, an hour east of Ida, was Wilbur Co. A small operation in a declining mining town. The company had seen numerous layoffs over recent years, just as Lydian just did. There were a dozen of names to sift through, though. A needle in a haystack, however, one did happen to stand out. Gary Warren. As luck would have it, one had registered James Addison as dependent family. Gary Warren, resident of Cottage Creek.
Oh?
Really? But
Really?
why? I mean, if he himself isn't James' records. As strange as they may have been, this at least allowed by the boy health coverage. Gary admitted to as much himself. Right, okay, well, that's all well and good, but doesn't this all just suggest he was James' biological father? Don't forget, the clothes in the car, clothes that can be directly tied to Gary, were taken out of Ida's home.
Right.
Alright, of course. A move which seemed to be a means of protecting his identity from the investigation. Seemed to be, because on the other hand, you're really quite right in the second guessing their relationship as current. His statements, as you see, do make things a little more complicated. That's yet another alibi you need to dig into yourself in time. You still need to validate those indentations in order to better justify Dale's views as our third suspect. You're almost there now. Oh man. You have anything else?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
I have no clue. know. I gotta think about it. Let's see. Oof. Proof the notepad indentation are relevant to the day of Ada's mother. James Dumas. Okay, I think it's that. There you go. It's this one. Proof. According to Ada's mother, Lillian, they had met the morning Ada was murdered. Specifically so, Lillian Goodmine, Ada's son. That matches the first dot point of the indentation James Dumas. As to why the list was for that same day, well, Lillian also suggests that the two hadn't been getting along or even seen much of each other. So if that's the case, it hadn't been a common occurrence, Ada taking her son to stay with her mother. Exactly right. That makes for a much stronger case against the neighbor now, and vital information for follow-up questioning. So, Fields. I thought it was a woman. We can now officially rule in Dale Fields as a potential suspect in Ida's murder. And really, all things considered, perhaps even the most suspicious. If there was a schedule of that day, what might Ada giving her mother a rare visit, then there's an obvious implication here that would make T.F. Dale the last person to have seen Ada on the day she was murdered. Indeed, assuming we can verify this indentation as such. And actually, now that all the victimology lists are exhausted, it's time we turn our focus. Right, three men who had opportunity, who fit the narrative, or at least what we have of it so far. Opportunity is one thing, but who had the motive to kill, or who had the desire to even? The desire, that's a little complicated, Desmond. Take it one step at a time, maybe you get there. Standard procedure is to get a little background on them first, so let's just start there.
Okay.
Even at a glance, there's quite the history between them all. Lies, cheating, drugs, violence. Yes, well, as intriguing as all of this is, there is one more thing I actually wanted to show you first. Something that sets the foundation for this crucial phase. A second list that once again changes what you think you know. Another one, but from where? Was that also from the notepad in Ada's bedroom?
You can do better than that.
We touched on this earlier. Surely you hadn't already forgotten. I think the note that got torn off. Ada's body.
Of course. It
In the
had to
back of
have been.
Ada's car. Note here. You must mean this notebook here? You said it had a page torn out of it? Good. I'm glad to see you can keep tabs on the loose end. Especially when they're as important as this one.
If that's the case.
Seeing it as was likely removed from Ada's home by her murderer, we need to figure why. What were they trying to hide? They got it? You can take a look, but since it's coded, it won't do you all that much good. Not without this.
It's there in the evidence.
Answer this, and you have everything you need to finally start on your suspect. Well, I know. Yes, it's this one. What was it Chero said? That her and Ida would swap names of clients, code names, trucker handles, so that's what this is, a list of Ida's clients. Otherwise known as a black book. Yes, well deduced, Desmond. Chiro believed Ada only adopted these concepts in working out of home, too, also worth noting.
Okay.
Okay, good to know.
Good to
Means
know.
less people who might have been there, at least, works to our advantage. Knowing what this list is, though, that's one thing, but coding is still quite obscure. Do we have tips on what any of this means? Did Chiro know who they were? She was able to help us identify two of the main, yes, the other three too, indirectly. You see, she gave some pointers on what their handles were likely referencing, and those proved invaluable. Okay. Now, of the two Chiro knew, one was already in jail and one was placed 2 states away at the time, both ruled out. Cross them, please. To identify the remaining 3 clients, well, you already have enough evidence to do that yourself.
Oh?
Okay, we already know them then. Wait. You mean is our 3 suspects on this list? All 3 of them were clients of Ida, partner, even the neighbor? Intriguing, isn't it? Now you know why having this list was so important, so... These truckers at Chura also pointed out whole aspect of their work is their identity. Remember that? If you can find out what she meant by that, you have the ammunition you need to take them into interview room. Is that what we're gonna do next? Well, since Dell is technically a suspect, let's move what we have on him to keep it in one place. Oh man, it's complicated. Let's see. Injuries, this has been on my mind actually. This cast, this is a long arm cast up and around the elbow. I can't imagine he could do much with it. Did he happen to get that before or after Ada's murder? Before, about 2 weeks earlier. Don't let that dissuade you on this capability though. Forensics suggested that both Ida and Bonnie were strangled by a left-handed offender. You know which arm is in the cast, and in fact, all 3 men were confirmed to be primarily left-handed. Right? Okay, interesting. So then, what about these scratches on his left arm? Did he have anything to say on that? Just had he attempted some manual work on his property with one good arm, also he says. Parents. He might be older than the other suspect, but he looks to have aged well. Looks physically fit at least. Despite being retired, he still looks the part of a trucker. Denim shirt, denim pants, and this oversized belt buckle featuring exhaust stacks behind an eagle. Background. Retired long-haul trucker, various companies, currently living in Hockery Ridge, 65, single, never married, no children, claimed to live a quiet, peaceful life. 1993, attempted strangulation, unnamed 21-year-old transient female at a rural fuel stop, no charges made. Oh. Okay. Very lonely, uneventful life. It seems this criminal history though that has my attention. It was way back in 1939, so it was only 22, but even so, that's some coincidence. No. Village standard. A necklace with a cross pendant, so it's from religion, secrets, Windsor bells. I believe, going by the logo. The slumped shoulders and sweaty armpits are hard to miss. Too, not a particularly confident looking figure, at least not under police scrutiny. Injuries. These marks on his wrist very peculiar. Is it just me, or do these look incredibly similar to some injuries where Otis in this case? Yes. Long haul trucker. 38, married 6 years to Judy Kelly. 1933, no children. 1979, wife filed for divorce, citing adultery and habitual drug use. Where he's going with that restraining marks on his wrist. Withdrawn within 2 weeks. Soon after, took on longer trucking routes. Interesting that he's the only suspect here without a criminal history doesn't necessarily mean he was clean either. His filing of divorce 3 years ago over adultery and habitual drug use. What made her change her mind? Why take off longer runs after? Gary. Flannel jeans, pretty standard railroad trucker fare, bit more striped back and simple somehow though. I suppose clean shaven. Doesn't seem all that impressed either, going by the body language. Injury between the bruising and the bandage. Seemed like Gary took a pretty good knock to his nose there. 41. Divorced in 1962. Wife citing desertion. Now losing second wife. Lives with second wife May Warren. Married 1967. His sister and son Bill, 9 years old. Numerous charges for using non-designated trucking routes. Falsifying his logbooks. Considered usual behavior for trucker, avoiding mandatory rest periods and making their own haul. What do we do here? What evidence indicates the handle of Dale's view in which was it? I want to see that. I want to see this. B-Rub's Talk 10. Cool hands. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Scratch that. Deep forest, D-Rope. Dry back row. Wisconsin entry, easy rider. D straight 10. Relax. I suppose at least 2 of 4 our suspects seem to be but free spirited. Oh, we need to like a look at these too, yes. Deep forest. The first entry, deep forest, D-Ropes. Driving back rows, couldn't be that be any of them to make it their handle though. It must be a particularly preference on proclivity. Woodchuck. Third entry, Woodchuck. Let's talk 5. This one sounds familiar. We have evidence of someone transporting wood as a trucker, don't we? Cool hands. The 4th entry, cool hands. Straightforward physical description should be simple though. Get a chaser. The last entry, get a chaser. Pause to get a country. So what? Louisiana? Somewhere south? That doesn't sound familiar. Okay, so I think we can scratch these two because right, it was something she mentioned. One guy moving far away, probably this one. I forgot about this one, but he's not blonde hair. We don't have any blonde hair. Let's see. Long haul fucker. The forest. That one. I want to know. Evidence. Check. There's not a lot to go on with Dell's as a trucker, but he does touch on it enough in the statement he gave.
Exactly.
Seemed to connect rather clearly with one of the listed handles, wouldn't you say? Only it seems you missed the point on which handle it lines up. Okay, I think I missed that. Sure.
Back to it, Desmond.
Calm down, lady.
Exactly.
Which would make him woodchuck, right? He did say he used to be a wood hauler. Retired now, but that's correct. Turns out that is indeed the moniker that stuck with him. Oh, good start. Desmond, that leaves us two identified down. Florida cab. Okay, I think that would do that, and the handle. Gator Chaser, Florida. Alright, so in Dennis' case, it was what he was wearing that gives it away. Tell us about his identity as a trucker. Once you figure out the associations involved, the handle comes fairly easily. Yeah, Florida Gators, route to Florida Gator Chaser. I get it. That's two identify. Only one more left. Okay, I know the handle of this guy. Not Easy Rider. Okay, Cohen, Deep Forest. This one. So, in avoiding wait stations, essentially Gary was avoiding highways. And if he's avoiding highways, well spotted. It's the implication of which lines up convincingly with one of the handles from Ida's Black Book.
Right,
because it's not main roads you're using, then your only alternative is to use back roads. In other words, Deep Forest. Nicely deduced, Desmond. And with that, you've got all three suspects and the handles from Ida's list. So, there we have it. Woodchuck, Gator Chaser, and Deep Forest, respectively. All three have a lot to answer for. And I have a lot I want to ask them. In some ways, I almost wouldn't know where to begin. You wouldn't actually. Everything you'd have asked would have been a card you've shown. Let them show the cards. Rather than give them the chance to shape their lives around evidence, the evidence should instead expose the light. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we know the evidence about as well as we can now. Now it's a matter of looking for what doesn't fit in their stories.
Exactly.
Not always because they're guilty either, at least not of murder. We've done the groundwork, now's the time to finally hear what they had to say. Just remember, one statement at a time. Desmond, it's time to strip away their lies and get to the truth. Ooh. The evidence to expose the lie. That seems easier said than done. Make it one lie at a time, sure, but can I really tell something like that? Who is just scared and who is a murderer? Dennis Clay. I was lost. Well, I mean, the rental is just to do something out of town is all. I can't be driving no truck around. And I dropped by the trailer, sure, but I was lost. I stopped for directions like she asked for a light, see? So then I gave that lighter to her, that's it, I swear. What? He's feeling the pressure, but even so, the explanation for the lighter is at least plausible, unlikely but plausible. His handle is in that book, but feel like Lenore would say that's not enough on his own. Okay, we placed him there. He submitted to as much. So did he really go inside? The boy. He's missing? Oh Lord Christ Almighty. Right, well, yeah, I seen him outside. He was on this radio, small like radio. Oh gosh, some afro handle. I think. He said he's westbound and inbound, so must be. I know, because I thought. And no one coming into Hickory that way. It's not on that old road. And that's all I recall. The boy was there still last I've seen. She just left him there too by himself. Like... Okay. Injury.
Are you sure about that?
No?
Back to it, Desmond.
Well, if Dennis didn't simply give Ada the lighter, then what's the alternative? He must have used it himself. To light a cigarette? Not bad, Desmond. The logic is certainly good. None of them had usable trace evidence of Princeton. As you might recall, the butts weren't even his brand either. Ooh.
Back to it, Desmond.
Proof that he was the client. Dennis Clay. Wait, hold on.
Back to
What?
it, Desmond.
Okay. Bell buckle D.
Are you sure about that? Back to it,
I thought
Desmond.
it's injury, but adultery.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about
Okay.
that?
I'm trying blindly
Back to
now.
it,
Hold
Desmond.
on. Well, proof that Dennis did visit Ada as her client. with the boy.
Are you sure about
Oh
that?
man, none of this.
Back to it, Desmond.
I think it's a shirt, right? Company shirt.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm. Hmm. Maybe his car being seen can be explained away like he did in the lighter, maybe. But with this, if this turned out to be one of those condom or a blood type match with Dennis, surely that makes it hard for him to deny, right? That's what I would think, yeah. Especially so when you consider that the two more recently used condom were matched for a rare AB blood type. Same rare AB blood type, in fact, as our suspect here, Dennis Clay. Ooh. Okay. As you can imagine, Dennis didn't take well to this information. Listen to his follow-up statement, see what you make of it. And do keep in mind, Desmond, motivation can be tricky, perhaps a drive for violence, or perhaps something else entirely. What's up? Look, I was stupid. I got me a tip on CB. She was good for it, but I swear, we done it. I pay her, then I left. That's it. Yeah, I was 2 times without it, but there were no patients about it neither. All rushed like weren't there more than an hour. I mean, Christ, what else I even want from her? It's unfaithful. I admit it now. Okay, can I call my wife? Well, he's on up to being a client at least. It's the last part of his statement that's the real question. Now it's just about motive, slightly Lenore's touch on, and not always just about violence. So what else would he want from Ida? What? Injury? This?
Are you sure about that?
If we're going to understand why Dennis was driven to do anything, the only thing we have to go fully is this. Indeed, which becomes quite incriminating once you consider other evidence in the room.
Back
Sure.
to it, Desmond.
Injuries? Did I try that?
Are you sure about that?
Okay, I did.
Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm. Come here. Tip on CB. What do you mean? This is tough. Oh man.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Why that didn't work? Secret?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Background.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Twice on day of murder. Less than an hour. Was that the jar? This? You're not wrong. This certainly do with Cheryl's statement. There's more particular evidence you need here, though. Indeed, which become quite incriminating once you consider other evidence in the room.
Back to it, Desmond.
Okay. Well, it must be the jar, right? According to what Cheryl said, this jar here had been for above money and drugs. Correct. So if you had proof there was after either, well, if we're going to understand why Dennis was driven to do anything, the only thing we have to go by really is this. Indeed, which becomes quite incriminating. Ooh. Someone took Ida's money and drugs, and when you're one of the last people with Ida with that kind of history, right, we already caught him outright in a lie about being a clan, and now this. It's more than suspicious. The evidence against him is really stacking up now. Be that as it may, you do still have quite a bit of work to do on the other two suspects. No stone unturned now. Work papers? Jesus, well sure, I've seen her for a spell. Years back. We had that boy. So for a bit, I'll cover him. And for what? I ain't doing that no more. He and my not private like. I don't speak with him or nothing. I got my own family now. It was his mistake. That's the truth of it. And I ain't got no clue where he is. So, James is his boy? The relationship being old now, they're actually quite hard to dispute. Points about James and Hickory, though, I wonder. Was Gary in contact with James? I'm convinced this isn't the case. Not having communication with James one line at a time after all. I think he was. Boy. Yes. this. Well, to be fair, Dennis' memory here seems a little shaky on the handle. It's scraping at the edge of a name, isn't it? But the similarities to Gary's DeForest handle, the background situation, could be a good fit, right? Could be, since Dennis' recollection lacks confidence though. You need more than just disconnect to Gary too. Ooh.
Are
Okay.
you sure about that?
Okay.
Back to it, Desmond.
Close. Thumbs. Oh, I can't believe she has them. Might be she was finally making to hug him or bring him out to me. She was touched in the head like that. All clingy, crazy like, I don't know, could be too. Instead of folks do that, you know? Is there, you know, person of interest? I mean, you're looking at clothes, she got around that woman. Okay. Hmm. This one?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm. You have to be okay. Never mind. That's the first one.
Are you sure about that?
Not that one.
Back to it, Desmond.
Is. Alright. Evidence suggesting Gary was in contact with James. Gary Warren.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm. I was thinking that. No, what else? Hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. This isn't certainly to do with this handle. There's more particular evidence you need here, though. Let's for now take this as assumed knowledge. Concentrate on the other information.
Back to it, Desmond.
Okay, so it's close. Hmm. Bruising?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What? Oh, well, it's about insurance, something like that. This one.
Are you sure
What?
about that?
That's not right.
Back to it, Desmond.
What else?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay, I try. What the heck, man? The radio, fuse engraved, sync. Photo frame.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay, bad. Note.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay, that's crazy. Getting harder. We tried this and it did almost kind of work, but got some clue from it. You're not wrong. Yeah, no. What evidence?
Back to it, Desmond.
Gary was in contact with James.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Oh, shoot. I don't know what no more, so we're in trouble. Do I pay her for that? She needed to work. I slowly walked down time to time. I hadn't seen her that day, if that's what you mean. I ain't got no reason to do what I got done with her neither. This isn't quite ringing true to me, at least not based on evidence I've already seen. Maybe his initials on the list isn't quite enough to prove he was there, but this, I think we can dispute. Secrets. Background. Think on what happened with his criminal history. It almost seemed like what Dale said was a flat out lie. Right, the connection goes even further, which may have been lost on you given the rather outdated terminology. Transient female he previously attacked used to be considered a sensitive way by police to refer to sex workers. So both cases involving strangulation, both in a rural back row area and now both against sex workers. Ah, this is leading more to Dale. That's all I can say. You have a listen now to be Dale being pressed on this, sticking his guns though, as you see. Right, sure, I get it, but I mean that was complicated. I was young, stupid as all heck. Had that rage, what some young folk get. You know, Ada was my friend. I could never do that to Ada. I don't think it's possible neither. All things considered, left-handed. Okay, but there's more to it. He's not changing his story much. He's actually doubling down on the idea of not being able to do it. It's not possible, he says, all things considered. What does he mean by that? He addresses the mother being left-handed, so what else? If he's right, there's something about it. This I'm overlooking. If it's not, then I have to prove he could commit the crime in this entirely. What? Injuries. Whether we want to prove capability or lack of capability, it seems inevitable. We have to discuss Dale's cast. It's the logical center to this. Could he physically have done it? There isn't much else for him to be hide behind.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that?
Okay.
Back to it, Desmond.
What? Proof that Dale did or did not have the capability to commit all aspects of murder. Oh. He has the background, right? This was spoken on this evidence.
Back to it, Desmond.
What? Okay, I'm running out of clues. These twos are really hard. The radio, right? This one is the radio. The radio? Well, you're not wrong. This is certainly a very important part of this story. Hold that thought. You need to prove they were even talking together first. What?
Back to it, Desmond.
How do they talk to each other? Boom. What the heck? But Gary's hometown east of Ida, small communities, limited road access between them. It's a bit of a stretch, but yes, it does warrant attention. I'll give you that. So that's the thing. Separately, each is definitely debatable. Together, though, what are the chances of James talking with someone coming from the direction of Cottage would handle reminiscence of Gary's? It's a good case. Cool.
In fact,
I was in fact posed to Gary, and he walked right into it. His tendency to become defensive was quite bonus for the investigators. His real life does essentially confirm this suspicion, but as you see, he did also seem to have an answer for everything. He wasn't there. Oh, and what? Because that boy find me over CP? I've done murder to women? Jesus, he's the only one calling me, okay? I didn't even want to answer. It don't mean I been there. Hell, I ain't even run to Hickory no more. I just ain't got no reason for it. Being out there, that lot lizard caused me enough trouble. Right. I'm used to talking to James, but not to keeping in contact or being in the area.
Could it be?
Could it be in an effort to get out of this? Did he just walk himself further into the lie? Oh man, this is getting harder. What proves Gary would had to have been near Ada in Hickory Ridge? Hickory Ridge. This is tough. Yes.
are you sure about that?
No?
Back to it, Desmond.
Ah. Yes, again?
Are you sure about that? Back to
No.
it, Desmond.
I think it likes that. Anything else? Injury, maybe?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Oh man. Oh shoot. My clothes.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
I think this possibly is the indentation, right? Gary? GC is for G for Gary?
Are you sure
Oh,
about
no.
that? Back to it,
That's
Desmond.
not correct. Back about Dell. Injury. Yeah, I don't know what else. It has to be somewhere here. I just don't know. This?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Because the only Ada and him living there, right?
Are you sure about that?
What?
Back to it, Desmond.
Parents? I don't buy it. I mean, if he can string her, then what else is there to consider? This is a fairly disappointing conclusion to make, Desmond. You're not giving this enough thought. Think through all the steps involved. Capability isn't just about physical exertion after all.
Back to it, Desmond.
So close, though. We did try this. It didn't work.
Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Is he able to commit murder?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Because he was visiting her, so there's no way he can commit murder, right?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Oh no, I have no idea. Ay, ay, ay. Hmm. Let's do deduction. Mm-hmm. Pulse, wrist, neck, face. Nope. Nope. Not jerk. Sheet. Notebook?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
We tried the loose claws, right?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Garbage drawer, counter, sink, carpet. This?
Are you sure about that?
No.
Back to it, Desmond.
I was thinking they might leave together, but newspaper?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
I was thinking indentation, but like this is wrong.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
We tried this, right? Didn't we?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay. I know we did try. Right, there was something else.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Rups talk.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah,
Back to it, Desmond.
I'm trying blindly now. Here, we're in background. How can we prove that he's there? I don't know. Hmm. How can he call him though? I feel like it's background, but I think we try that.
Are you sure about that?
Sure.
Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm clueless. Clothes, maybe? I can't put on her clothes.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What in the world? I have no idea.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay. What they mentioned here about the radio, it was fairly innocuous point actually, but the fact that it has such a short range is really in our favor. Yes, radio. To admit to James reaching him on a radio that can only reach nearby gas station, Gary was tying himself up in his own lies. Are these the response of someone feeling himself pulled into a murder investigation he had nothing to do with, though? Or are these lies of a man separating himself from something he had everything to do with? I still can't tell. Intriguing as this is, you still can't draw conclusions just yet, not when there's one more suspect unanswered for. And this guy. Hmm. When he could use a whole timber, right?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Just because Dale was capable of some aspect of this doesn't mean he was capable of all aspects.
Nicely deduced.
A detail easy to oversee, but one that has quite important consequences. Can't use the shift level, his right arm. Once again, you can never forget the narrative your evidence has already established. We know the attack on Ida took place in a home, and we know her body had to have been driven by her offender to the disposal site. Right. Maybe with a long arm cast, he could have strangled Ida, perhaps even with some struggling move her to the car. But driving a stick shift without movement in his elbow, that sounds highly unlikely, if not impossible. Unlikely, certainly. Impossible, not necessarily. It was a convincing enough point, though, for investigators to run reenactment with him. Given his frame, the size of the car, his cast, they were convinced it all proved too physically awkward to be possible.
If that's the case,
if Dale couldn't have driven Ida's car, then holding him as a suspect is quite problematic. We can point fingers at his past, suggest reason why he'd fit, but we'd be wasting time that's better spent on the remaining two. And with that, we have arrived at this rather interesting predicament. In all honesty, a rather serious problem as an investigator to have two suspects rather than none, but even so. Well, who do you believe? Both clearly have something to hide, both can be placed here with Ida giving them opportunity. Gary's presence in their lives, Danny's adultery and addictions, neither wanted it known, both went out of their way to hide it. But it's the same problem. What's relevant to the mother was malicious and was just coincidence. That's perhaps the hardest part of this. How do you arrive at the final truth or fill in those final gaps of understanding? You can continue pressing your suspects and you will cocoon over your evidence, and you still do that too, but sometimes it's just that one last discovery that really brings everything into focus. You see, at the very moment these interviews were happening, James was found alive and perfectly well.
Oh?
Oh?
Really?
And that's great, but where? What happened to him? Well, you've listened to the stories, heard the alibi so far, seen the evidence, so tell me, Desmond.
what do you think?
Who was the reason why James disappeared? Gary? Who's on the radio? So there's already that, but we also have James going out of his way to radio him. The toothbrush, the clothes, if he's living with them at least partly, then James would know him quite well, just him even. And the only one here who's made a concerted effort to minimize his relationship with the boy to lie about even knowing him is Gary.
Exactly.
Dale seemed largely quiet, but that was his nature in general. Dennis, he showed concern for the boy. And it started out, James was located inside a cafe in Cottage Creek, Gary's hometown. As you might recall, he spent a day waiting there, no purchases. Eventually, the manager called in police, who in turn recognized him from the bolo. I'm not sure I follow. He was waiting. Gary left him there at the cafe? That just said Gary had never taken him. No one had. He gone on his own free will. According to him, he had found Ada, her body while she was still in her home, and had simply fled. No clothes, no suitcase, just $20 in change, shoes, used bus tickets, and dust. This here is James, the man with him, likely Gary, but that's not for certain. Cafe behind them is in fact the same Cottage Creek cafe that James had been found in. I see he saw not much of a kidnapping as a kind of runaway, but this as a guide. The cafe was as far as he knew to go. It took him that time to find it, and then he didn't know what to do but wait. It would seem that way, yes. It's likely that this was the only way he knew how to look for Gary. This wasn't about his father taking him, but James wanted to be with his father. One of these men is a murderer, and now we have an interview with the only one there to witness any of it. We also have some last statements from our suspect here as well. There's a few pieces of new evidence now, but Desmond, this is it. That's the last of the physical evidence. The rest is now up to you. That's it. That does seem like enough somehow to put this to bed. An abandoned boy, 3 suspects, and a photo, and among them it seems to answer who caused all of this. What happened? I went in her bedroom. Oh, I gotta do it again. Click so fast.
Okay.
Okay. I went in her bedroom, and she was just laying there, not moving. Like this was after that man come in that black car. Eyes outside, waiting for Ma, but she weren't coming out. So some things of Ma. Gas and go, caught a bus that come by. It's a station was, then another bus come, took me to Cottage. A black car, that must have been if he was the last person with Ada before James found her. That's quite damning. Why Cottage? My pa is what took care of me. He's asking on me, bringing something special like for eating or what have you. He weren't mean like she was. Ma, she never gave me nothing except lip, maybe a lock cleanser is what she wears. She's been nice to the men would come by, every one of them, like turning on a light, then off again when they're done and gone. What's the image? This must have been from an earlier visit James made to Cottage Creek. He looks happy. Considering Gary had a second family living there, probably a rare visit. I mean, the person taking the photo was probably Ada herself. With the face cut off, it's not sudden that it is scary, just slightly. I suppose the gentle arm around James, the flannel and jeans, though they're wholly unique, and there's the differences there. This man has a full beard, a belt buckle to the picking a row, windling through trees. Lucas Cafe in Cottage Creek. James had made his way there on his own in hopes of finding his father, Gary. Leonard has said he had $20 in change, a used bus ticket, and this photo like chasing down a memory of somewhere better. Ooh. Are we missing anything? Look at this guy, huh? Man, James Cafe. What drugs? What drugs? A jar? Jesus, look, ain't got no clue what you're talking about. Oh god, oh god. No, sir, we're nothing unsuspecting. We discussed it, she was fine with it. Then, well, I barely finished my smoke. Or I'm out. Paid her 30 because of the 2 times, then well, that's it, I left. I mean, does any of that help? I don't know what else I ain't said. Look, I'll be straight with y'all. As God as my witness is unfaithful. I done bad. I sinned. I'm sorry, what I discussed? What does that even mean? Seemed it was important enough to come up with the interview. But how do I work out what occurred in such a private situation? Uh... Hmm.
Are you sure about that? You can do better than that. Back to it, Desmond.
What evidence? I thought there was something intriguing about these marks on his wrist, the similarity to what I see with Ida and even Bonnie too. Only for him, this was intentional. We discussed even if it seemed.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Dennis and Ida. I think the indentation, maybe?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm. Maybe this.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Didn't see a jar. What's for the agreement, man?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Drug use?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Hmm.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
This didn't work, right?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
What was Dennis' agreement? Man. The notebook? You're not wrong. This doesn't lead to was handled. There's more particular evidence you need here, though.
Back to it, Desmond.
Uh, do, 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 do. Mm, 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 mm.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Indentation?
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Okay. Oh, I didn't look at this. Okay.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond. Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
Of course.
This is about
Had to
as
have
close as a record as we get with Ada agreeing to anything with her client. Considering that actually it's not all that hard to see what this agreement might have been.
Nicely deduced.
You were right to hone in on this, as simple or even private as this may seem. It's the implication of what this means for the rest of the case. Yeah, I think I'm beginning to see that now. The handles we know, but it's the rest of it here. This is about client preferences. And while the rubs part is fairly clear, it's the inference about these clients that actually the critical detail can be interfered that of the clients they noted would rub the light to be. Nope. The light to be tight. Nope. The other way around, right? Then it's a present proof of that he himself was Thai and not by Ida, Let's put their agreement just as she's written down.
I wonder.
Could it be the
Could
RUPS
it
listings
be?
are for clients that likely to be tied by Ida?
Not quite, Desmond.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. The other way around.
If that's the case.
Suggest then it's submissive. Yes. I totally forgot about that. Dominant. Right, exactly. Rather than wanting to be tied, he had a preference for tying Ida. So hold on. The abrasions that we see on Ida then... Yeah, assumes he's been forcefully restrained, but can it be... Did Ida consent to being tied up?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. It's certainly possible, given the evidence, not just Ida, for that matter. Two sex workers have the same small community with wrist abrasions and a client with a proclivity for rubs. Don't get too excited, Desmond. It certainly could make this easier for Gary, but there's still more to be said about this case yet. See what you can make of Gary's last statement, and we'll see what loose end can be start to be tied up. Look, just what does it matter? If the boy's calling me, or if I's in Hickory, I mean, your game poke holes in this or that, but end of day I see and done nothing and seen the horror and stepped foot in her horror home nothing in years. Look, what the hell and y'all with that feller I done told you about. I know he been there. Y'all with that heller. I mean Christ, the boy was calling me about it. Scared he was, shaking in his voice like, and y'all here pestering about radios and clothes. God damn. As much as I don't trust Gary, this could be sincere. I suppose if anything is going to help him find truth in this. We still don't actually have Gary placed there, do we? And if we can't place him at the crime scene itself, it's hard to agree with him if we can, though. Yes, you onto something. Hopefully the right something.
Are you sure about that? Back to it, Desmond.
I have to say, to find something so important among something as trivial as the garbage on the floor, I didn't think much of it at all to begin with. Why would I? Now, in light of all the evidence we have. Man, this is a tricky one. Suspicious, isn't it? How does a pie from Gary's hometown arrive in Ida's home? Oh, shoot. Every step of the way, Gary's talked himself out of his tie to his family, and yet every lie put him closer still. Yes, well, he seemed to have seen the writing on the wall too, that this was going nowhere good for him. He refused any further participation at this point in the interview and demanded a lawyer. As much as Gary's guilt grows, you can't simply ignore the evidence against Dennis either. I doubt Jim's testimony about Ida's final visitor wasn't lost on you.
Right.
Right now. It wasn't. For one reason or another, they both seem guilty. So something has to give here. If this is all the evidence we'll get, then something here separates the two. You said it just before, didn't you? Loose ends. I know there's a number of things to get back to here, but where do I start? It's all waiting to fall into perspective. Go back to the beginning, break this down to its main elements. Do you recall what I taught on the BSU approach to this? The categorization of offender behaviors?
Oh?
Classifying offender behaviors as either organized or disorganized. An organized killer will plan the crimes in advance, bring weapons or restraints with them, target specific types of victims. This organized killer is more spontaneous. They attack victims of opportunity, use weapons that are available in the moment. These terms are largely the combination of what we already discussed. There's not much new here. As framework, though, it should help you find what's important in solving this.
So then, Desmond, tell me.
Why would you say Bonnie's murder was committed by someone organized or disorganized? Probably organized, right? Disorganized? Just leave the bag. Well, we now know Bonnie was a sex worker. Considering the likelihood of ropes being used voluntarily, it all seems rather opportunistic.
Perhaps.
And yet everything about the murder was tightly controlled. It seems to go just the way he intended. The ligature marks all match. No defensive wound. This doesn't happen without some level of preparedness. So this read more as an offender who has premeditated his murder, is waiting for a sex worker to allow him to tie her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. If Bonnie's murder was organized, so this was organized, then how do we consider others? It seems a bit more complicated than just one or the other. We have tried to weigh up all the factors of the murder itself. What is more likely that it was planned or of the moment? I think it's organized because when working from the same gas and go as Bonnie, there's many of the same rituals here, like the gas gag, for example, not to mention the detail and staging afterwards. Choice to murder, though, is separate from what he chooses to do after or even during. The mismatching ligatures, the physical beating, may have been of the same victim type, but is that enough? This attack was simply not from a man with the same level of control or premeditation. This was someone acting in the moment, unorganized. Right, so even if he did indulge in some of his usual rituals, he didn't necessarily go to Ida's home with the intention to kill. There were efforts to regain control, though. Her dressing, hiding her body, the cleaning, moving evidence.
Now you're getting somewhere.
So I guess all wrong. Because this inability to avoid some of his habits, then the attempt to hide them are part of his downfall.
Oh?
Really?
Really?
So he knew these rituals could link him to Bonnie, but by him hiding them at Ida's crime scene, we know he was a murderer? Oh. We try to hide it. Something from Bonnie's crime scene should be at Ida's, but it's not. We have statement telling us as much. This is more than enough to put it all together now, Desmond. The how, what, why, and who. The how, what, why, and the who. But what you think tells the story in a closing statement. No more guessing game. Time to see if you can close this out. Oh man, this is tricky. Well, somewhere in here are all the answer. All I can do is work through it, tell the story as Leonard put it, and see where it takes me. This organized nature of Ida's murder means the weapon used to strangle her was likely improvised. The answer must be there in the evidence. This has to be one of the biggest unanswered questions. I have a feeling this will come down to what we know about our murderer, what we expected him to do. Leonard square in on this. The rituals the murderer follow. So which habit did the murderer leave with Bonnie but remove Ida? Apparently apparently because of what someone said in a statement, something that should be there, but which statement is Leonard referring to? Lastly, the motive. It doesn't seem to fit with any kind of jealousy issue. Both of these men were well aware of Ada's work. Discounting that though, going by the evidence we have, let's see. They seem to me the clearest possibility that appear throughout the evidence. There must be something that singles one out. So there is who, how, what, and why. Thing is, nothing clearly leads on to either suspect, at least not yet. So what is it about the ritual that Leonard sees as being so pivotal to this?
Well, I've come this far.
But if I can't figure this out, then whatever I've proven of here up until now, it'll be for naught. Ready? We only missed one, right? Yeah, let's go.
So then, Desmond, tell me. Not bad.
Yeah, indentation. I think it was his name on it. Somebody else she's gonna meet, right? After Dennis. Yeah, like whatever, 11. I forgot what it was, like GC or something like that.
Why, though? Here's what I'm thinking.
It's all about the money. All right, see.
Are you sure about that?
What? You are, in fact, exactly right on all counts.
Nicely deduced.
That was excellent work. I'm quite impressed. That being said, though, there's value breaking this down in detail, particularly so when I have a question or two for you yet.
Well, I've come this far.
Let's see. Let's start then with the statement James made against Dennis, or rather, for Gary. He was most certainly taken seriously. But even so, James' behavior suggested a reason not to fully trust what he had to say. If you recall, Gary referred to Ida with an unusual Ida term, a rather derogatory label for sex workers operating out of truck stops. I just ain't got no reason for it. Being out there, that lot lizard caused me enough trouble.
Ah, okay.
I see, I did wonder what he meant by lot lizard. I believe I know where this is going though. A similar comments James made, only he stumbled over the wording. Lock lizard is what she was. Surely that comes from a place of misunderstanding what he's hearing too, right?
Perhaps.
Most importantly, this mimicry itself reveals James' tendency to repeat what he hears from his father. Gary had tried to deflect attention onto Dennis in his interview. James was simply saying what Gary wanted him to, knowing the whole time that his father was the last one with his mother.
Exactly.
Now, as for the weapon, it was indeed a belt with a large rounded buckle. Forensic testing proved as much. The bruising matched perfectly to a source replica of this exact buckle seen here, and we can do more than assume this is Gary's. Truckers take on their handles as part of their identity, like you said, and it was the same with Gary. Buckle, a road bending into trees, and a man with a tendency to take back roads, deep forest. Then we have the carpet stain. You only need to take a look Got a look at Gary to know he had quite an injury to his nose, and surely one that had bled profusely even. Blood was eventually recovered from deeper in the carpet pad. It did indeed. Matched to Gary type, not Dale's, Dennis, or even Ida's. It's sort of common blood type though, hardly definitive, so what this comes down to is offender behavior. You said exactly. You said it exactly. That fits Gary. Blood test aside, it just wouldn't make sense for Dennis to remove only half of his forensic evidence. Which brings us similarly to my own question, the proof of who was last with Ida. Between the pie and the condoms, there was indeed incriminating evidence against both men in the garbage. However, either places one there before the other definitively. The statements against Dennis were also dealt with. I did consider how Ida rushed Dennis, that she clearly had a follow-up visitor, but there's no way of proving that was Gary either. The schedule Ida made for the day, though, of all the evidence, that's the one that's time sensitive and free from manipulation. Yes,
right.
That's it. Right, the GC in the notepad indentation can only fit one name in all evidence. Gator Chaser.
If that's the case,
It is more than reasonable to assume DF follows the same logic. I wonder why you were so skeptical when I suggested last to see Ida. The last to see Ida on list DF was Dale. Now I know why. Deep Forest. If these are handles, then this is Deep Forest, not Dale. Gary was always meant to be the last there that day. And now for our final point, the why, a rather nuanced and difficult summation to make with that what we have. Let's start with Ida's work. Tell me, where could we find information on what Ida charged these men for her services? Indentation. The indentations, there were some kind of numbers on that list. 11 for Dennis, 15 for Gary. Think about what Dennis said in his statement though, about what he paid Ida. Oh, heaven and listens. Pay her 30 because of the 2 times, then well, that's it, I left. I mean, does any of that help? I don't know what else I ain't said.
Ah, okay.
See it now.
I see.
30 for the 2 times, then 15 for each, if that's the case. It seemingly doesn't match. Those numbers were really time related rather than money. The black book listings, however. Oh, I didn't know. Yes, it is. Yeah, here we go. That's right there. 11 for Dennis, just like he said, or perhaps even more importantly. 0 for Gary. She never asked for money from him, from what we can see here. She chose not to. Dennis being a relationship with Ada or being asked for more money than he paid is purely speculative, so let's move past that. If Ada wasn't after anyone's support, then that just leaves either drugs and money or lack thereof. Only thing is, based on what someone told us in their statements, it couldn't have been the drugs, so then tell me.
why
What is that? If the drugs wasn't there, then someone had to have taken them, right? Must have been Dennis. James? James sells some of Mom's stuff?
It has to be.
He didn't mention taking money off Ida's to pay for it. Oh, look. Sold something to Ma at the gas and go. Caught a bus, come by station wise. Then another bus took me to Cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Ida didn't really seem to own much. So what else would have had that kind of value?
Exactly.
Somewhere between Dennis paying Ida and James leaving to Cottage, that money vanished. It's hard to imagine though, all of this for what, if it has seemed so complicated, but really.
It was right there in front of me.
It all adds up. Of course, Ida didn't want anything from Gary. He didn't call her needy or greedy. He called her clingy. She wanted something from him that he wasn't willing to give. So the initial circle in like that, Ada rushing Dennis, James fighting Gary over the CP. This wasn't any old visit. It was a rare visit. Ada and James, they were excited for it. Gary was at least telling the truth about keeping distance, wasn't he? And in the meantime, Ada had worked and saved, according to Cheryl. To get out of here, where else to but the place he kept framed by her bedside, Cottage Creek. And when he finally did see her again, saw what she saved, perhaps also her expectations of him, though, it is slightly more complicated than just money. Once you dig deeper, this is not a man who tolerates feelings of restriction too well. His first marriage and logbooks are a testament to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
I can see how these profiles quickly become increasingly complex as you look further into them. It just, well, speaking of digging deeper though, this case, I don't know. Something about this still doesn't feel complete though. It seems to me that there's more than that what we see here. I mean, Ada's murder was messy, sure, but Bonnie's, hers were clean, practiced, I'd even say. There's ritual here that's been done before, right? We've thrown this term about serial murder, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a term given after a 3-time and measure murders. Yes, well, following Gary's arrest, a search of his property was conducted to secure the case against him with further evidence. Nothing seemed to be coming up, nothing except a small tin box, half buried beneath an old rusted old steel drum behind the house. Inside were rather harmless, albeit unusual item, a pair of women's shoes, some loose buttons, and a lock of blonde hair.
It's there in the evidence.
Thing is, it's there in the evidence that we had all along, the relevance of one of these objects. It was subtle, very much so, but if you did miss it, you can rely on logic to work this out regardless. So given what you've seen of his murder so far, which of these do you believe widen the investigation on Gary? The button.
It has to be.
A single lock of hair, a single pair of shoes, maybe the little other victims, but they seem special. An individual way, if there's any indication of multiple victims, then it comes from something he has in number.
Nicely deduced.
Souvenirs, as I'm sure I told you in my talks. As it would turn out, the hair and the shoes seem to have belonged to Gary's late mother. The buttons, however, initially, one was matched to those Ida's blouse. Closer examination revealed she was, in fact, missing the first button.
Huh.
Oh well, I'll be a detail as small as that. But then, wouldn't that also mean same thing? It is, isn't it? It's the same in Bonnie's photo too.
In fact,
The top button once again had been removed.
Oh,
If
but
that's the case, if these are
that's
some
the
kind of
case-
keepsake from Gary's victim, there were how many in the tin? Quite a few, right? That's what, 7? Was every single one really a? A wider search took some time, what with state borders nearby and information confused that comes along with that. But it was Gary's repeated behaviors that eventually made it possible to close out 3 cold cases and link them back to him. Anita Kohler, Jane Erkins, Ashley Caldwell, 3 sex workers that went missing with into our Cottage Creek. 3 women who were then found strangled, left by the side of various back roads. Oh god, the same thin ligature marks on the wear gag. 2 Windsor bow, but a missing button?
exactly.
Exactly. Without the outlier Ida, this man might have been a lot more difficult to stop. 2 buttons remain unidentified. Unfortunately, it's not easy, but we just have to take the win on the ones that we had closure. And have you been there? You would have confidently helped solve a serial murder case. Congratulations! Thanks. It was intriguing and very enlightening to see how this behavioral analysis is done so effectively. I think I could really see myself doing this, to see what this monster has done and to be a part of stopping it. Right, of course you do. Well, If you take your notes with you, be discreet about it. We've broken enough protocols with what you've seen as it is. That would be all though, Desmond. You are dismissed. Wait, huh? That was quite offhanded, wasn't it? Was there something I said? Is that really it? Wait, Lenore, ma'am. Yes, did we miss something? Yes, well, I mean, no, not exactly.
Desmond.
This has been a long night as it is, so for the sake of our tired brains. Right, I guess I just... What am I doing? Do I actually want to ask something? Let's do it again. Maybe we could do this again if you had other cases to walk me through all the time too. I hope you don't mean right now. Oh no, I'm also done for the day, but this. It was really helpful, honestly. I might come here just with some lofty ideas about joining the BSU, impressing you, but there's still a lot to learn here first, and I like to keep at it, ma'am. That's good to hear, Desmond. I appreciate your modesty, perhaps, but I do hope you know that BSU is much further down the line for you yet. That time in your early career will give you more experience than I ever could. Not to mention the time you should invest into psychology. Quite frankly, Desmond, there's enough highly motivated intuitions and feelings in this place. Your reasoning is there in place. But it needs to be more reliable. At the very least, I intend to see this department develop into something that respects that, to become more than just horoscope columnist. Really? If that's how Leonard sees the BSU, then you don't agree with what the BSU is doing? That's what this is about? You are trying to influence the department to shape the curriculum after hours?
Not
Not
quite,
quite.
Desmond.
I'm not sure I dare to expect so much, and well, there is more into inviting you than just that.
Desmond.
What you have is vulnerability. You imitate this role. It's not really you. Okay.
Desmond.
I'm complimenting you. It's far better to pretend at bravado than to identify yourself by it. We could do with a lot less of the latter, frankly. You have a clear self or yourself internally, for better or worse. Profiling is being in touch with internalized words, after all. It just can't be that alone. Without academic pairing, there's a real threat of projecting only yourself onto these murderers.
Right.
More side classes, huh? Not what I had in mind, but it makes sense. Honestly, in a perfect world, perhaps, but... Look, you do fine. Keep your head down, study, commit to your first few assignments. I'm sure they will have you. Despite knowing I did reasonably well with this case itself, it was clear in my inability to think on my feet had left her somewhat disillusioned. We had some small interactions throughout my time at Quantico, but by the time I circled back after other assignments, Leonore was long gone. I was left just to wonder, what had she found? A kind of acceptance? Things she can't control? Of realizing I'd likely never live up to her full expectations. I did, in the end, spend some part of my career with the Behavioral Analysis Unit, as it was renamed, but it never did quite feel deserved. I often think back to this boy. His desire to impress, needed to be noticed. It's just a trap, a kind of void, an emptiness that can't be filled. I tried to stop letting it weigh on me. It really did. I really did. I guess some people are just stuck with it. And so I gave into it instead, in ways I never expected to, had never even imagined, became someone I never imagined. It all made a lot more sense after that. Whoa, The Big Hollow, 1982. This is the end. 19. Future? Lucas Cafe, Cottage Creek. Well, I'll be. Hard to believe I'm really here and right where he stood too. Oh, well, just about. 37 years, that can be, can it? I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast yesterday, and yet, this case, I remember it all like it just happened. 37 years in Gary Warren was arrested for 4 counts of murder, 1 for manslaughter. His prison is not even that far from here actually. Yes, this town somehow is happening again. Oh. Jeez. She is right. They certainly are repeat behaviors. Despite what I told her, the cases are linked. Of course they are. The only question is, how can I talk her out of looking into it? What a game. I mean, it's not that bad, right? It's okay. I mean, it's good. Not. It looks like there might be a part 2 coming on, hinting at the end there. If you stay for the credit after the credits. Well, I hope you guys like the games. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. Peace.